I can already hear it in the comments. $750 for a monitor stand? And honestly, if that's all it was, I would agree with you. But this isn't just a shelf, and it isn't just a monitor stand. Before adding the studio, I was already using Hexcal's under-desk cable management tray, which did an amazing job organizing my cables and larger power bricks underneath the desk. So my desk setup was already pretty clean. Now I've added the Hexcal Studio to continue the organization above the desk while bringing power, charging, lighting, cable management, and storage into one place. Hexcal does have a newer Studio Plus now, but this is the original Studio and it's been around for a few years. So the question I really want to answer is the original Hexcal Studio still worth it in 2026? Hexcal sent this to me as a follow-up after I reviewed their under-desk cable management tray. They didn't pay me to make this video, and everything here is based on my experience using it. So let's get it out of the box. So the first thing I noticed was just how substantial this thing is. It's really large, solid, and rather heavy, so you need a good, sturdy desk to accommodate it comfortably. The Studio does weigh just under 22 pounds and is a little over 47 inches wide. When you first see it, it looks huge. But on the right-sized desk, it really works. Mine is 63 by 31 inches, and once the Studio was in place, the proportions actually felt perfect. The aluminum finish looks premium, modern, and almost futuristic. There's no noticeable flex, mine arrived without scratches or imperfections, and nothing about it looks or feels cheap. The Studio is symmetrical from left to right. The top aluminum surface is about 7.8 inches deep, while the total projection depth is around 8.7 inches. Inside the box, you get the extension feet, reusable cable straps, data bridge cable, firmware cable, and documentation. Extension feet are actually hidden inside the Studio when you first open it. Setup was easy, everything was clearly labeled, and there are only a few steps. Unlock both sides, remove the aluminum surface, install the feet if you want that extra height, and you're ready to start organizing. And for my setup, the extension feet made a big difference. Without them, I found the space underneath pretty limiting, unless I was storing something like thin notebooks. Once raised, it became even more useful. I can keep extra keyboards and mice underneath and even slide my laptop in when I'm not using it. For me, I'm not using the Studio for my monitor because mine is already mounted on an arm. Instead, I'm really using it for my Studio speakers. And that worked out amazing. It raised the speakers much closer to ear level so I can get rid of my speaker stands. The top surface is rated to support up to 101 pounds, so my speakers and a few smaller accessories aren't putting much stress on it. Inside, you have a large cable chamber that runs almost the entire width of the Studio. Because my Hexacle underdesk tray already handled my larger power bricks underneath, I used the Studio for cables and accessories that I wanted closer to my desktop. I routed the USB cables for both of my game controllers through it, along with my cup warmer cable and other desktop accessories. One of the best parts of this Hexacle 3D cord organization system, instead of everything being thrown together inside, the cables let me route cables in and out exactly where I need them. I can pull out only as much cable as I need, keep the cables separated, and then use the included reusable straps to secure the excess inside. It's really spacious and very easy to work with. I'm nowhere near filling it, so a setup with more cables and adapters could take much greater advantage of this available space. There is one downside though. Once you have equipment sitting on the top, getting back into the chamber can require moving some of that equipment. When I added another accessory to my desk, my plant light, I had to move my speaker so I could open the Studio and route the new cable correctly. It's not a major problem for me, but if you got a large monitor sitting on top, changing the cable setup later could be a little bit inconvenient. So I do as much cable planning as possible during the initial setup. The Studio has 8 AC outlets built in the back. The vertical outlets are designed for regular plugs, while the horizontal outlets give larger adapters more room. I'm powering my 2 game controllers, lamps, and my cup warmer through the Studio, and the real benefit for me is the accessibility. Instead of crawling under the desk trying to find an open outlet, I have power right here. The Studio supports up to 1440 watts overall and has built-in overcurrent protection. There are also separate INT and EXT power switches. INT controls the Studio's internal systems, while the EXT controls power to the devices you plug into it. Along the left side, you also have USB connectivity. There's also a USB-C power delivery port and USB-A quick charge port that can provide up to 27 watts when used individually, plus 2 standard USB-A ports. I haven't really needed to use these charging ports in my normal workflow, but the 2 additional USB ports have another purpose that's pretty clever. They work as USB data bridges. So I can plug something in like a flash drive into the connection inside the Studio and access it from the external port. You could use the same idea to keep a receiver or storage devices hidden instead of leaving it sitting on your desk. The downside is in 2026 is that the data bridging is still USB 2.0. That does feel a little dated now. And I really wish one of the USB-A connections had been a USB-C connection. Wireless charging is also built directly into the left side of the top. It supports 2 QI devices at about 10 watts each. I tested it with my 12 Pro, and charging was very responsive once the phone was positioned correctly. I do say position correctly because you do have to find the charging area. It can be a little finicky until you learn where your phone needs to sit. Hexcal says you can charge 2 devices at the same time. In my setup though, I have speakers taking up space on both sides, so I don't really have enough space to really comfortably position 2 phones. So I've been mainly using it just with one. And at 10 watts, I look at this as a little bit convenient charge while at my desk rather than something I'd use when I need a really fast charge. My favorite feature is the lighting, and I wasn't really expecting that because I already have a monitor light bar. But the studio really illuminates much more on my desk, and I find myself turning it on pretty much every time I sit down. And Hexcal gives you a lot of control over it. Power turns the lighting system on and off. Mode cycles through the preset lighting configurations. Save stores the configurations you've created, and Fave cycles through those save settings. I really like that. Once I get the light exactly how I want it, I can save it and quickly toggle through my favorites later. Then there's Range, which adjusts how much of the desk covers the light. Inst gives you 16 levels of brightness, and Temp gives you 16 levels of color temperature. That lets you comfortably change the feel of your desk depending on what you're doing. At night, while I'm gaming or watching content, I like softer, warmer light. When I'm working, I go brighter and cooler for better task lighting. And because the monitor light bar is still there, the two complement each other really well. There's no RGB. Personally, I don't see that as a negative. For something positioned as a premium workstation, I'd rather have excellent adjustable task lighting than RGB adding just to tick another box. The LEDs are rated at 95 CRI, and with brightness, temperature, range, presets, and save favorites, the lighting is easily one of the studio's strongest features. So is the original Hexcal Studio still worth it in 2026? I think it depends heavily on the buyer. If your main priority is getting all these functions for the lowest possible price, this probably isn't the product for you. There are more affordable shelves, lighting systems, power strips, chargers, and cable management products that can accomplish many of the same things. You also need enough desk space for something this substantial, and the USB 2.0 connectivity is showing its age. But I don't think the person shopping for the studio is necessarily looking for the cheapest solution. This is for someone building a premium workspace who cares about the materials, the clean aesthetics, and having several parts of the same setup integrated into one system. And you need the budget to pay for the convenience and the design. The biggest compliment I can give to this is that it's staying on my desk. It's still expensive, but after using it, I understand much better what the studio is trying to offer and who it's actually for. And for the right buyer and the right setup, I think it can still make sense in 2026. And if you like the cable management of the studio but don't need everything else it offers, watch my Hexcal Under Desk cable management tray review next. That's what I'm using underneath this setup. Like if this helps, subscribe if you're new, spend smarter, build better, and I'll see you in the next one.